What's up guys, welcome to another range day. Today we're going to be shooting my Romanian Draco style 12-inch AK-47 SBR. Guys, if you enjoy the content that I'm making, then please make sure to like and subscribe and leave me a message down in the comments section. I really hate asking, but it truly does help the algorithm a lot, so I'd really appreciate it. And if you ring the bell icon, you should get notifications when new videos are released as well. Additionally, if you want to get more Chester's Hobbies content, you can follow me on Instagram where you can see what I'm working on and get previews of upcoming videos. And I'm also pretty active on Reddit if you'd like to follow along with the conversations there. Alright, well that's enough of that, so back to the gun of the day, my Romanian Draco SBR. So guys, one of the really cool things that I love about AKs is how many different styles and designs there are to choose from. I think my absolute favorite is probably the 8-inch Crink style, but a close second is definitely the 12-inch Draco style. These have been very popular in movies over the years, sometimes actually appearing without a stock. I think their look is really iconic to me personally. Now technically what I have here is an M10-762P imported by M+M or M+M, I'm not exactly sure what they go by. For those that don't know, this is identical to the Draco imported by Century Arms. It's the exact same 12-inch AK built in the Cougar factory in Romania, but it's imported by M+M instead of Century. So while it doesn't actually say Draco on the side, it's absolutely the same gun, and many of the opinions I've seen out there would indicate that there's more trust in the quality of an M+M import over a Century one. But for all intents and purposes, they're the exact same thing, so I'll be referring to it as the Draco for the remainder of the video. Now, when I originally purchased this gun, it came in a pistol configuration with a virgin underfolder trunnion and some more tactical style furniture. So the first thing I did as soon as I got home was drill a hole in the rear trunnion to install this 1913 Picatinny adapter from Stormworks. This allows me to mount a wide variety of braces and even stock since this is now a registered SBR. The rear trunnion was pretty thick, so it took a little bit of time, but it's been rock solid ever since. So I ran this gun as a pistol for a while and eventually decided that I enjoyed it so much I wanted to make it an SBR to get the full experience. I tried several different 1913 triangle style stocks and ultimately went with this one from Occam Defense. It's got a real premium feel, solid lockup, both folded and unfolded, 6 QD sling points that work great with my Savvy Sniper sling, a comfortable butt plate, and a decent cheek weld. The length of pull as you see it here is about 12 3/4 inches, which is just about as short as I would want to go, but it's very comfortable. So full-size Dracos like this one take standard AKM furniture, which means you got a lot of options to choose from. So I've got what's called a Polish fatty Bakelite grip, which I really like. It's a little bit thicker than a standard Bakelite grip, which fills my hand more. Then I went with this absolutely beautifully refinished Romanian Handguard set, which includes the classic Romanian Dong. These dongs have a very unique look while also being a really comfortable vertical foregrip. Now the size of the dong does limit your working area for reloads a little bit, so it's pretty common to smack the dong when removing or inserting magazines, but with a little bit of training it's not too bad, and some magazines are a little bit longer or shorter than others, which can make it more or less challenging as well. The stock trigger from Romania was pretty poor, it really left a lot to be desired, so I installed an ALG AKT trigger, which is one of my all-time favorites, and now it's excellent. It's nice and light with a quick and clean reset. Now this Draco, like many of them, has a more classic styling with no side rail for optics mounting, so I had to look into other solutions to get a red dot mounted on this thing to help my old eyes. So I ended up going with the Atero Arms Brava mount with a primary arms micro dot. These mounts are pretty neat actually. So what it does is it replaces the rear sight leaf with a nice low direct mount for aim point style micro dots. As you can hopefully see, it includes a rear sight in the design so you can maintain co-witness with your front and rear iron sights. Now, I've seen some mixed reviews on these mounts, but so far it's worked great for me. I did need to shim it a little bit when I was installing it with some slim pieces of aluminum that I got from a soda can, so the install involved a little bit of trial and error, but once I got it to a place where I was happy with it, it seems to have been holding zero well for me. On the muzzle, I went with a VG6 Precision Epsilon muzzle device. This is a combination muzzle brake, compensator, and flash hider, and I found it to be pretty effective in mitigating recoil and muzzle rise. Lastly, I was really excited to suppress this AK with my Dead Air Wolverine, but unfortunately when I tested it with an alignment rod, it was barely contacting the front end cap of the Wolverine. I spoke with Dead Air and made a post on Reddit to get some opinions and ultimately determined that there's plenty of clearance with the baffles and the worst thing that could happen would be a damaged end cap, so I gave it a shot. The 2 rounds that I fired just barely kissed the end cap and sent the rounds way off target, like over 2 feet off target at 20 yards. Now the end cap wasn't really damaged, it was just barely nicked in the rear, so it's still completely functional, but it clearly wasn't going to work in this configuration. So at that point I was pretty disappointed and ready to accept defeat on suppressing the Draco because I really didn't want to deal with getting it rethreaded. But some very helpful folks in my Reddit thread, including Dead Air Dom and Mayor Fugly Cool, pointed me in the direction of a really awesome tool from PTG called a 90-degree crown tool. So the way the Wolverine works is actually different from a traditional suppressor that would index off the shoulder of the barrel. By contrast, the Wolverine actually indexes off the face of the muzzle. So looking at it closely, I could see that the muzzle of my Draco was indeed not very flat. There's some slight material buildup on the muzzle crown that was likely leading to the misalignment I was experiencing with my Wolverine. So I ordered the 90-degree crown tool from PTG, and within 3 minutes of using the tool, I achieved absolutely picture-perfect alignment with my Wolverine. I was absolutely ecstatic about this. I went from being incredibly disappointed and frustrated to being totally blown away at how easy of a fix this was. So if you have a Wolverine that's not lining up well with an alignment rod on your AK, take a look at those PTG crown tools. They're really easy to use and they literally work like magic. So all that is to say that we actually are going to be running a suppressed today as well with my Dead Air Wolverine, which I'm really excited about. And lastly, of course, I do have a K&S piston installed to help me tune the gas system while running suppressed. It's actually really well gassed straight from the Cougar factory in Romania, which was nice to see, so I actually run it fully closed unsuppressed. And when I was testing it the other day, I was running about 35 clicks out when running suppressed. But it's honestly a bit hotter today than it was then, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so that's what we got going on today, guys. Let's hit the range and have some fun with my Romanian Draco SBR. Well, guess I killed that one. Yeah, this other one's about to go any minute too. Yeah, probably time to do a little bit of range maintenance. So guys, I want to give you an idea of the difference in the sound between shooting the Draco unsuppressed versus suppressed with the Dead Air Wolverine. So I'm going to start off unsuppressed with 2 shots slow fire into the dirt, and then I'm going to cut to 2 shots with the Wolverine suppressed, again slow fire into the dirt. So let's start with 2 shots unsuppressed. Guys, this gun is freaking awesome. I love it so much. I've been shooting a lot of 5.56 and 5.45 lately, so going back to 7.62 was a lot of fun. It's just a more powerful and punchier feeling round, so it really gives you a visceral feeling when you're behind the gun. Compared to my Arsenal SAM-7K, I will say that this has more felt recoil for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons for the lower perceived recoil impulse is that although the SAM-7K is technically a shorter gun with an 8-inch barrel versus this Draco with a 12-inch barrel, because the Arsenal SAM-7K has a milled receiver and this Romanian Draco has a stamped receiver, the way I have them both configured, the SAM-7K weighs about 8.5 pounds and this one weighs just under 8 pounds, so there's a half-pound weight difference, which isn't huge, but it does make a little bit of difference in terms of soaking up the recoil of the 7.62x39 round. The other factor is that my SAM-7K has a Bulgarian 4-piece flash hider, which throws the blast of the shots forward away from the shooter. So although there's definitely more muzzle flip on the SAM-7K, there's almost no concussion to the shooter, so it's a very pleasant experience. This VG6 Precision Epsilon brake works fantastically at getting me back on target. I'm definitely much faster with the Draco as a result. There's definitely a significant amount of increased concussion to the shooter with a setup like this, so that's just something something to keep in mind. So that being said, this gun is just a ton of fun to run. There is a bit of concussion, but once you get used to it, this gun is really fast and really smooth and tons of fun to run. Again, it's definitely not as smooth of an experience as the Arsenal SAM-7K, but still really awesome, and I definitely love it. I also love having the ability to set up these AKs just completely different from each other, which makes them feel like a totally different experience. If you've seen my SAM-7K video, it's very tactically oriented. It's got a quad rail and the optic is mounted up front, but I love the classic look and feel of wood on an AK. And I really have to say, a nice dong makes an excellent vertical foregrip. I'm also happy to report that I had absolutely zero failures today, which you would probably expect with an imported Romanian AK. But adding a K&S piston, especially when the gun is already gassed pretty well, can potentially induce malfunction, so that's something to keep in mind. But in this case, it really just ran perfectly for me, both suppressed and unsuppressed. Now, prior to coming out to the range today, I'd actually put about 20 rounds or so through the Draco suppressed with the Wolverine when I was testing the K&S piston. So I was really crossing my fingers that the alignment would hold up and there wouldn't be any damage to my Wolverine. Well, I'm happy to report that I shot nearly 100 rounds today suppressed through the Wolverine, and it is perfect. There is no damage at all. It held up great, so I'm really thrilled to report that. So aside from the pure relief that the Draco didn't kill my Wolverine, I have to say it is awesome shooting this gun suppressed. K&S piston allows it to be tuned just right, so it's just barely ejecting the shells while still being extremely reliable. And that's because it's significantly reducing the speed of the bolt and in turn goes to be reducing the felt recoil while shooting suppressed. This really is an awesome platform to shoot suppressed, so I'm definitely glad that I figured out a way to make it work. I mentioned before in other videos that the 14x1 left-hand threads can be a little bit of a pain with something like the Wolverine, because you're tightening the adapter into the Wolverine one way and then you're screwing it onto the gun the other way, and so they kind of work against each other and it can pretty easily come unscrewed. In this case, I'm happy to say that if you actually follow Dead Air's instructions to the T and you put the adapter on while it's in a vise and really crank it down, it does hold up much better. I did have to adjust and tighten the suppressor a couple of times today, but not nearly as much as in the past. So I mentioned the comparative power of 7.62x39 compared to the 5.45, 5.56, and 9mm that I've been shooting a lot lately. And I think that point was pretty comically proven by the casualty that we had on the range today. Thankfully, it was just a 2x4, so it's an easy fix. I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of range maintenance soon. So aside from the dong looking really cool in my opinion, if not just a little bit ridiculous, it is actually super comfortable to get a nice grip on the dong. I mentioned the challenges that it can bring to reloads, and if you look on the back of the dong, you can see where their magazines were striking the back side of the dong. It's causing a little bit of damage. Not a big deal, just something to keep in mind if you're looking to do something similar. You can also get something called a shark fin dong, which is where people take the dong and cut it about like this so that it gives a little bit more clearance for the reloads. This Polish fatty grip is super comfortable. I really enjoy it. The ALG AKT trigger is one of my all-time favorite triggers, so that was obviously just tons of fun to run. The triangle stock from Occam Defense was actually really comfortable. I was very happy with the purchase that I was able to get with the buttstock against my shoulder, and I found the cheek weld to be pretty effective. Folding mechanism is really nice. It can be adjusted to fold to the left or the right side. I've got it folding to the right side right now. I actually prefer to fold it to the left on this gun because there's no sight rail to get in the way, but if you see here, the folding mechanism protrudes quite a bit, and when it folds to the left, I found that it was digging into my hand a bit. So folding to the right fixes that, and it doesn't really bother me anymore. The QD sling points work great. There's 6, 3 on either side. I like the one that I've got it in right here. It works perfect for me with my Savvy Sniper sling. Now the Atera Arms Bravo mount is really continuing to impress me, honestly. I put 200 rounds through the gun today, and it's still maintaining 0 perfectly. It's one of my favorite things about co-witnessing a red dot with your iron sights. It's a nice, quick, and easy way to double check and make sure that you still have your 0. Another intricacy of the Romanian Draco that I think is kind of neat is these hooded front sights. They're a little bit different from a standard AKM, and I think they're kind of cool. As far as the finish goes, the finish on these Romanian guns is definitely nothing to write home about. It's a little bit on the rough side, but I actually kind of like that. I think it adds a lot to the character of the gun. So that's going to be all for today, guys. We got a lot more videos coming up soon, including more AKs, ARs, PCCs, handguns, and shotguns. Remember to like and subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned, and thanks for stopping by.